Hello, we're back for round 5 of our mid-season, and the camera seems to be adjusted again. Just ignore the part that isn't green screen. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Nothing's wrong here. And we got a good matchup here against Alan Miller and Brian Valdespino. It's going to be an interesting matchup too, because we have Brian with a Swampert, King Gambit, Sinistra, and a Ditto, alongside a Mega Blaziken and a Mega Floette. And on Alan's side, we have a Garchomp, Incineroar, a Alolan Ninetales, a Rotom Wash, Dragonite, and a Mega Gengar. So it seems like this might just be a thing of Perish Trap versus a very interesting Blaziken or Floette team that can honestly just steal Mega Gengar and turn things around on Alan with that. Ditto is a really interesting play in a Mega format. We haven't seen a lot of it here on stream, and I'm glad we are finally getting to see it. I don't know if we've seen it on stream in the past, but this is the first time we're seeing it today, and it'll be really interesting to see if it gets brought and what it ends up taking, because no matter what, it's gonna be able to impact a lot. But we're gonna get into leads here. And it's going to be Gengar and Dragonite from Alan, and Swampert and King Gambit from Brian. And now, these are pretty interesting leads here, although I think Gengar is really threatened by the King Gambit here, and the Swampert too. So it'll be a case of, what does this Dragonite want to do? I think Dragonite could very easily just low kick a King Gambit and just demolish it, while Swampert can potentially just flip turn out and do a bunch of chip into Gengar and maybe risk, but then you're risking something else getting stuck in Perish. We're gonna see Gengar Mega instantly. No surprise there. You don't want to be able to prevent swaps as soon as possible, even though the more active switches. We're going to see Gengar Protect here. That makes sense here. Keep yourself safe from dark damage. We're going to see just Dragonite protecting here. Interesting. And then we're going to see King Gambit Protect here. And what is this Swampert going to do? Icy Wind. Okay, that makes sense. Do some chip into both of these guys. Get yourself a little slower. But, maybe I think you have to be afraid of a potential Perish Song here, and I think you do need to get Swampert out of here as quickly as possible. And just doing that with Flip Turn, and then even just kowtowing the Gengar makes the most sense here. You could call, you could potentially just call like an attack here from the Gengar and Sucker Punch here, or you could get really greedy here and call the instant switch in and just Sucker Punch the Dragonite at +1 and do a lot of damage. We're going to see the Sucker Punch go out into the Dragonite. It's not going to do a whole lot here. Still a little, we're going to see King Gambit go down instantly to a low kick from the Dragonite. But Rotom Wash coming in on the Gengar slot. We're going to see the Flip Turn. Doing a little bit of chip to the Rotom, but I think with I believe this is leftovers Rotom Wash. I'll see in a second. We're gonna see Rotom go up to probably pretty close to full. Depends on the number. So what are you bringing if you're Brian here? You could, I guess, you could bring in Floette and Sinistra. We're gonna see Ditto. Ditto's gonna take the Rotom Wash. And we are gonna see the leftovers from Rotom. Okay, Rotom goes up almost full. And we're gonna see Blaziken come in. Now, Blaziken, or Rotom does have everything this Rotom does. as Rotom Wash has, but we're gonna see Dragonite swap out here into Incineroar. We're gonna see Blaziken go for a Mega, and we're gonna see what Blaziken has to do here. We're gonna see Volt Switch into the Rotom. Not gonna do a whole lot, but we're gonna see Rotom or Ditto come back in for Swampert. And we're going to see close combat go into the Rotom. It's not going to do a whole lot because you're at -1 and you're not doing super effective damage. But we're going to see Hydro Pump miss the Blaziken. This is not a good position here. Sure, you're getting speed with Blaziken. You can just protect again, but you're running the risk of Incineroar or just swapping out, taking absolutely no damage, and coming back in to get your Blaziken -2. Then Blaziken is just doing no damage into anything. Especially after even a close combat into Incineroar is not going to be able to do enough. And Swampert. And Swampert is a much more supportive set. It's not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage here. We're going to see Blaziken Protect here. Incineroar Fake Out into the Blaziken. Yeah, that makes the most amount of sense. We're going to see Rotom Will-O-Wisp into the Swampert. And Swampert's damage is going to be turned down a lot. But we're going to see just a Flip Turn again. Even without the burn, that still doesn't do a whole lot. Now you're just swapping Rotom back in to take the Ditto again. Ditto transforming into Rotom. Alan's Ditto or Rotom healing up with that leftovers. I see what Rotom does, what Ditto does here. We're gonna see Blaziken swap out into the Swampert. See Rotom still not being able to pick up the Rotom. Ugh. Blaziken is gonna be forced to come back in here. Let's see Swampert. Ooh. We're gonna see Parting Shot going to the Swampert. I would have been the Blaziken. We're gonna see probably Gengar coming back. Yeah. Now depending on This is not a great spot for Brian. Gengar threatens a lot of fast damage here, and you have to be careful here because now Incineroar can just very easily come back in, drop your attack on your already burned and honestly not doing a whole lot of damage. Swampert, we're gonna see what Blaziken does. Blaziken go for a Rock Slide. It's a -1. It's not going to do a whole lot of damage to the Incineroar, especially if Incineroar avoids the attack. We're going to see the high horsepower go into the Gengar slot, and it's just not. It's a good call, but I think honestly, if you're in this position, you needed to flip turn the Rotom slot and just be able to get Ditto and to take the Mega Gengar and maybe just start cleaning up with that. But we're gonna see Incineroar fake out the Blaziken. Blaziken not gonna be able to move for this turn, and Perish Song coming out from the Gengar. We see what Swampert does. Hopefully a flip turn into the Incineroar and the Mega Gengar. That's not horrifying. I mean, that's not horrible. You're doing a little bit of damage here, but it's pretty nice. But now you do get your Ditto into a really good position here where it can take the Mega Gengar. But now, Perish goes off on everybody. Countdown begins. I think, and this is Scarf Ditto, so I think you do have to lock in. Maybe I think Shadow Ball's still your best login here, and then just close combat and hoping that does enough to Incineroar. We've seen it do a lot, but you know, it's hard to say. But we're just gonna see the classic protect from that we see a lot of the times from these Perish teams. We're gonna see Ditto locking into the Shadow Ball, which is the best, which is really the thing you have to lock into this team. We're gonna see Blaziken pick up another speed boost here. We could see Incineroar swap out into that Dragonite just to be able to avoid taking a lot of damage from that close combat. And we're gonna see, instead we're gonna see Gengar swap in. This will be the Rotom. Rotom's not going to want to take a Shadow Ball. Okay, we're not going to see any swaps here. We're going to see Incineroar dodge the Rock Slide again. Rotom going down to the Rock Slide. And we're going to see Gengar, or we're going to see Ditto do a Shadow Ball into the Incineroar. Not doing a whole lot of damage just because of that resist. But we're going to see a Parting Shot come out into that Ditto. But, yeah, we're going to see Gengar come back in for Alan. And then probably Incineroar back in, because it's a very safe play. Because you can just do two protects again. Protect with both of your guys again, and Gengar and Blaziken do go down. I think, yeah, this is the only real option here, just protecting with both of you guys, so just guarantee. We're not going to see that, though. We're going to see Incineroar go down to a close combat from the Blaziken. So, Brian is going to be able to take a Pokemon off, but unfortunately, Swampert is really low. Is in a really bad position with that burn, and here we're going to see the Perish Trap, the Perish Sock finally activate, and we're going to see just Blaziken go down here. And we're going to see Dragonite and Gengar come back in here. We're gonna see what Gengar does here. We're gonna see if this is enough to pick up. This should be enough. Oh, it's not. We're gonna see two Shadow Balls come in. Ditto might not be able to take this just because much lower HP, and it's not, unfortunately. Brian really almost had to call this back. We're gonna see Dragon Claw go into the Swampert. It's not gonna be a whole lot. Icy Wind doing not horrible damage into both these Pokemon. That could be an out, but unfortunately because of the burn, you are playing very risky games. And I don't and even at -1, I'm pretty sure Gengar Swampert isn't fast enough. And we're gonna see Brian forfeit that game to give Alan taking the first game here. Alan. How do you adjust here, though?
Yeah, that was like Dragonite I could do some stuff, yeah.
I think if you're Brian here, you have to position your Ditto a lot better to be able to just try to take the Gengar and just try to sweep from there. But we saw that it wasn't doing a whole lot of damage into things, partially just because this is a Parish Song Gengar, and those tend to be a little bit bulkier and not as strong, especially, and not that like offensively invested. So it's not capable of, it's not doing nearly as much damage as it wants to be able to do. I don't know. This is very adaptation dependent. Would be nice to see Floette here. Gengar or Blaziken didn't do a whole lot. We're gonna see the leads here. We're gonna see Gengar Rotom from Alan, and we're gonna see the Blaziken and the Swampert again. This really isn't great, because now Rotom can just burn the Swampert again. Gengar can just protect. And neither of these close combat does a lot to the Rotom, but it's never doing enough to knock it out in one hit. Unfortunately, okay, we're gonna see Alan's Gengar Mega. And we're gonna see Blaziken Mega here. We're gonna see Blaziken just take a sludge, go down to really low with a Sludge Bomb from that Gengar. A Rock Slide going into both of these Pokemon. We're gonna see Rotom Will-O-Wisp the Swampert again. It's a lot of damage potential from that Swampert just turned off, and now we're gonna see Rotom. We're gonna see Swampert flip turn into the Rotom, and hopefully this is the Ditto. But we saw before that Shadow Ball from wasn't enough to pick up Alan's Mega Gengar, but we saw that the Mega Gengar Shadow Ball was enough to in return to the Ditto. So it really depends on if Brian can do enough damage to that Gengar to knock it out in one hit before Gengar can't go down to Brian's side of the field. We're going to see Alan with switch it out as Gengar for Incineroar. Not a bad swap here, especially if you're calling that we're going to lock in the Shadow Ball. We're going to see how much this does to the Rotom. It's not a lot. Or it's not enough. And we're going to see Rotom. We're going to see Rock Slide out from the Blaziken. We're going to hold for flinches. And we're going to see the Volt Switch from Blaziken here. Volt Switch from Rotom into the Blaziken. Blaziken's going to go down here. And we're going to see Rotom swap out. Maybe this is Gengar again. Or it could be some other fourth thing we haven't seen yet. Gengar... Especially now that we've seen Rotom has locked in, or not Rotom, yeah, I'm getting all frazzled here. Ditto has locked into Shadow Ball. We know that it might be enough from this range, depending on a roll. I'm not sure on the math here. I think we're gonna see Ditto swap out into the King Gambit. And we're going to see Gengar protect again. And we're going to see a flip turn from the Swampert. And we're going to see Ditto come back in. And we're gonna see Party Shark going, ooh, into the King Gambit. That's really big. We're gonna see 1 Defiant proc, 2 Defiant proc, And now, because of that, things are really in Brian's favor. I've really turned the tide into Brian's favor. Rotom can't take a hit from the Gengar, from the Ditto. And Gengar cannot take a +3 Sucker Punch from Gengar, or from King Gambit. There isn't really a whole lot in the way of outs here for Alan. We're going to see Dragonite come in. We're going to see Sludge Bomb go into the Rotom. Rotom going down. We're not going to see a Sucker Punch come in. Presumably calling the switch, maybe into the Incineroar, but we're going to see Couch Out go into the Dragonite. This is absolutely going to be enough to pick up. We're going to see... We're going to see Incineroar come back in. And now... And Gengar come back in. And now it's a game of +4 King Gambit versus everything. King Gambit can very easily just Sucker Punch into the Gengar. And we play that fun game. And then we'll see the Sludge Bomb go into the Incineroar. This is going to do a lot. It's not quite enough. We're going to see Incineroar give it Citrus Berry. We're going to see Gengar Shadow Ball into the the King Gambit. Are we going to see another stat boost from the Swift Drum? We're going to see Flare Blitz. We're going to see Aqua Berry. I don't think this is enough. Because of that Aqua Berry, it's not enough. But we could see a burn. I mean, we're not seeing a burn. We're going to see a Kowtow into this Gengar. This Gengar is absolutely not going to be able to stay on the field anymore. And now we see... And now we're going to be going on to Game 3. This is going to be a very interesting game. Yeah, Sucker Punch going in to the Incineroar, always picking up. Incineroar wasn't even going to be able to really survive the Sludge Bomb. Now we're on to Game 3. Very well played from Brian. Pretty well adapted. I don't know how you change it up. Blaziken is actually putting in a decent amount of work here just from that damage. It's just Alan. I think that game 1, Brian was just trying to get the Ditto in position and just couldn't. But now he's figured out how he can do that really consistently into Alan. To the point of now we might see the leadoff doing that. Trying to go for that Ditto on like the leadoff. I'm not sure what the... I'm not sure what the answer is. What the adaptations from both of these players are. Both players taking these time with this decision. This is a very tense game. I'm not. I didn't look at the standings off the top of my head, but this could very well be either of these players' only shot in the gut. I don't think so. We're gonna see Ditto on lead. We're gonna see Ditto copy the Rotom. Getting that that lead off slot right is really important. But now I think we can see. I'm not sure now. If you're Brian, you can just go for kowtows into the Gengar and hope it's enough damage. Otherwise, we're gonna see a swap here. This might be Garchomp. That's a really good bring in here. We're gonna see Kingambit swap out. This might be okay. There we go. We're gonna see Blaziken. We're gonna see Rotom Volt Switch. We might see a Will-O-Wisp maybe into what was that Kingambit slot and maybe calling this Protect. Or we're gonna see maybe a Volt Switch. We're gonna see we're gonna see that happen. And we're gonna see the Will-O-Wisp just not happen because of Blaziken being a fire type. Doesn't mean to Will-O-Wisp. Now, what are the change-ups? What are the mix-ups here? Blaziken, even though Blaziken coming in, Blaziken's in a weird spot just because of the Garchomp. I'm sure you get some damage off, but you can't really touch it without taking some rough skin chip, and then if you especially if you're close combating, you are ruining your own defense. We're gonna see Blaziken Mega here. I'm curious to see what it does here. This might just be a Protect, and then maybe like a Dragon Claw and a Will-O-Wisp into the Swampert. We are gonna see Blaziken Protect here. That makes the most amount of sense here. We're gonna see Stomping Tantrum go into the Blaziken slot. That's really big. We're gonna see Hydro Pump go into the Swampert, doing a decent chunk. And we're gonna see Icy Wind come in, and that's gonna do a lot to the Garchomp. Not a lot to the Rotom, but the speed control is really helpful here, no matter what. Because now that has to be like enough chip that a close combat will be able to take out the Garchomp at this range. And you're not losing you're not putting Blaziken in nearly as risky of a spot. But no, this is a really good position for Brian now. Because now, in order to even if Garchomp or even if Blaziken goes down here, Swampert is still in a really good position. We're gonna see a swap here. We're gonna see Kingambit come in. We're gonna see Garchomp just decide to swap out. We're gonna see Incineroar come back in. Ooh, and Kingambit's gonna get another boost. We're gonna see an Icy Wind here. Missing the Incineroar. That's it's more important that this hits the Rotom, just because now you're fast. You're always faster than it. And now Hydro Pump going into the Kingambit does a good chunk. You're still going to survive a Flare Blitz from the Incineroar. And now Swampert is pretty free to just do damage with either high horsepower or even just flip turn out to reset the stat drop. And maybe bring in Ditto. Here comes Protect from the Kingambit. Fake Out going into the Swampert. I feel like we might be setting a Will-O-Wisp here into the... we're just going to see a Volt Switch from that Rotom into the Kingambit. Not going to go through. I'm going to see... Rotom getting a little bit of health back, but it's still not in a really great position. Just +1 from the Kingambit is going to hurt a lot. And we're going to see Flip Turn going into this one. We're doing a decent chunk at -1. This might be Ditto coming in. Unless Brian wants to risk losing Blaziken to Hydro Pump. We're gonna see Flare Blitz go in. Akaberry from King Gambit pop up. Get procced. King Gambit not taking a lot from that because of that Akaberry. We're not gonna see a no burn. We're gonna see Kowtow go into the Rotom. +1. This isn't a lot of damage. We're gonna see Volt Switch go into the King Gambit. King Gambit hanging on with 5%. Oh, that's really close. And now Garchomp comes back in. Blaziken doesn't get the speed boost because it has to be on the field from the start of turn to the end of turn for speed boost to activate. And now King Gambit. King Gambit not in a great position here. We're gonna see Blaziken protect here. We're gonna see King Gambit protect here. We're gonna see Stomping Tantrum go into the King Gambit. Parting Shot going to the Blaziken. Now, Blaziken getting that +1, even though it probably was almost certainly the fastest thing on the field anyways. I mean, you could sacrifice no, Sucker Punch, even at +1, I don't think Sucker Punch does enough to the Garchomp. I'm not sure what you do here. And clearly, both our players here are having that issue too. Because Incineroar can swap out. We're going to see Garchomp protect here. I don't like that. I think you do need to start dealing damage to the Blaziken, even if you are going to like Parting Shot out here. We're going to see the Flare Blitz go into the King Gambit. King Gambit going down to that Flare Blitz. No more Akaberry, and it's at 5 HP. It was 5%. It was not going to be able to hang around much longer anyways. Incineroar taking a little bit of chip from that recoil. But now, what does Brian bring in here? Maybe the Ditto? Yeah, Ditto's gonna take Incineroar. That's pretty good. That gives you a fake out into like the Garchomp, or you could potentially or maybe block a Parting Shot, or maybe even just because you think he might be faster because of that Choice Scarf, you could even like Parting Shot into the Garchomp to lower its damage output even more, to maybe just be able to pick it up. Garchomp just choosing a hard swap out here into the Rotom. We're going to see close combat going to Alan's Incineroar. Alan's Incineroar going down. We're going to see Rotom go to Ryan's Blaziken going, taking the -1, and we're going to see Parting Shot into the Rotom. But now we're going to see Blaziken go up to, what, +3 speed now, I think? We're going to see Gengar come in. This is not a really good spot because now Brian can just flip turn out with Swampert and take the Gengar. And you're dealing enough chip that you can get away with that. And even then, your Blaziken is at such a high speed that you can also just Flare Blitz the Gengar and probably have a really good shot of just nullifying it, just effect on the field at all. And yeah, sure, Garchomp comes in, but you can just close combat the Garchomp and do a bunch of damage, and you're still faster than the Garchomp, and you can just do a bunch of damage. We're gonna see the Gengar Mega here. We're gonna see Rotom protect here. No protect from Gengar. Gengar might be just going for a shot. We're gonna see close combat go into the Rotom. I see what you're going for, but no, I don't think that's a great play. And now we're going to see Parasong come out. And we're going to see high horsepower going to the Gengar. Gengar hanging on just barely. Ooh. Rotom getting a little bit of health back. Parasong activating on all three of these Pokemon. Or on all four of these Pokemon. We're gonna see Rotom swap out into that Garchomp. Oop, shit. Oop, sorry. Rock Slide going into the into a Protectorate and into the Gengar. Garchomp going to take this. Not very well. We see Flip Turn going to the Garchomp. Garchomp not taking that very well. We're going to see Rough Skin. Swampert down to less than half. Garchomp down to less than almost a quarter. And we're going to see the Ditto come back in. And Ditto can very safely just lock into Shadow Ball and take out both of these Pokemon. Take out everything else from here on out. Yeah, this is a really good position for Brian, because now Blaziken is at like +5 or maybe even 6 speed. I don't think it's at +6. I think it's at like +3. I don't know what speed it's at, but it's very fast. Gengar swapping out here, it's not going to matter a whole lot, because now Rotom just takes a Shadow Ball. Garchomp protects. You might be, yeah, sure, you are stalling out Blaziken's Parasong turns, but that's about it. Rotom goes down to the Shadow Ball. Yeah, you get to stall out Blaziken. You stall. There's no point to blind this out like this, because even then Swampert can still come back in, and the the Ditto is always faster than your Gengar and can always take out your Gengar. You always do enough, and then okay, protect, sure. We're gonna see Garchomp go for a protect. It fails. We're gonna see close combat go into the Garchomp. Garchomp goes down here. Blaziken's going down here anyways, but now you don't have an out to this Ditto and the Swampert in the back. But this is gonna be. This is a really tight game, really long game, just because that's the nature of Parastrap games. And now we're going to see Swampert come back in, and this is pretty over. Ditto is always faster than here, and you always pick up a Shadow Ball. You don't have to worry about accuracy. It's just over. And yeah, Palin's Gengar goes down. And that'll be our game 5, or round 5. And congrats to Brian, that might be cut. I'm pretty sure that's probably cut. This was a really high-seeded table. This is probably Brian and cut. We'll see standings shortly, and we'll see our first round of Top Cut in a little bit. And we'll be back after a very, very short break.